So in my last video, which I'll probably link up above, um, I talked about how do you live from after you've realized that you are everything, that you are being itself. How do you live from that place? And the very simple answer, in a nutshell, is you follow your joy. Because your joy allows you, is really when you give expression to your gifts in service of the world. And there's a lot more to that. Watch the previous video for a much deeper dive into that. But this video is going to pick up where that one left off. We're going to talk about what happens when you follow your joy and then something goes wrong. So this is what we're really talking about here. We're talking about the process of manifestation, which is nothing other than bringing something from your mind, from your heart, from your vision into reality. How do you manifest? How do you create, make manifest the life that you want to live, the gifts that you want to give to the world, the visions that you've been given? How do you make that manifest in the world? And I'm going to teach you a 3-step process for any kind of manifestation that you are going to be doing. And it's going to be a kind of map. And the first step of it, whether this is day 1 or week 1 or month 1, usually we can talk about these steps in terms of time frames. But the very first thing that you're going to feel and experience is inspiration. This is that initial hit of joy, right? When you see this new vision, this new life opening up in front of you, and suddenly you realize, this is my path. This is what I need to be doing. This is how I'm going to use my gifts in service of the world. Boom, it's done. I can quit my job. I'm going to run towards this. I'm going to do this as fast as I can, go all in, because this is what the world has shown me. This is what my soul has shown me. And then something happens. You wake up the next day and something's not quite right. The reason, and it could be the next day, it could be the next week, it could be a month later, but eventually the inspiration, step 1, moves to step 2. And this is where most people stop. This is where most people fail, because they think that when they've reached this step, it is a sign from the universe that they're on the wrong track. And what this second step is the challenge. The first step is the inspiration. The second step, you are going to be challenged. And this is true on an internal level as well as an external level. When you try and make a change in your life, you're going to have to confront, challenge, both internally and externally. And what that really means is you're going to have to align your beliefs as well as the other people's beliefs, as well as the circumstances that you're in. Align that with this vision, with what you are trying to create. And that alignment takes some work. And this is where people stop. They start to feel some of that friction, some of that pushback, and they get scared and they turn around. But this is the defining moment. You can think of this, I've heard it talked about as, the universe is checking you. Yesterday you had this inspiration, this huge opening. Are you sure? Just want to check. Are you sure that this is what you want to do? And if you are sure, if you say yes and you meet the challenge, then you can move on to step 3, which is the transformation. But most people don't even realize that step 1 and step 3 are not the same thing. When people have these openings, these inspiring rushes of joy and excitement about their vision, about how they're going to bring their gifts out into the world, whether it's starting a new company, becoming an artist, becoming a coach or psychologist or a healer, they think that they've gotten to step 3. Something has transformed inside of them already, and they are done. All they have to do is now live on a tidal wave of joy that's going to move all the problems that they have in front of them out of their way. But the reality is, they're only at step 1. They're only at the inspiration stage. You have to pass through step 2. You have to pass through the challenge in order for that transformation, step 3, to really sink in, to sink into your body, to sink into your blood, into your bones, to be the new baseline from which you live your life. And where the work happens for that true baseline to get established, that happens in step 2. Now, I want to talk a little bit more about, in this video, what to expect when the challenge comes, and also how to confront it. What do you do to get through it, to get over it, to get to the other side, to that transformation? So, first, I want to talk about what to expect. I said earlier that there are 2 levels of challenge: internal challenge and external challenge. We'll start with the internal. When you start to try and make a change in your life, I want to quit my job, work freelance, be an artist, move to a different country. Usually the first places, sometimes the first place you get challenged is externally. Your partner or your family or somebody outside of you. But sometimes we don't even get that far, because our own self-critic, our own internal voices, our fear, our doubt, they pop up and they start yammering in our ear, or really yelling at us, or even feeling it can be a physical sensation of, well, what about my kids, or what about my mortgage, or what about I can't just leave my friends, I'll be lonely, I won't be able to find new friends. All of these worries, all of these fears start coming up, and they're coming up for a reason, because this new you've been living in this direction. You've been living in this direction for maybe a year, 2 years, a decade, and suddenly you're trying to shift. You're trying to shift your life to be in alignment with joy, in alignment with your true self, and in alignment with the truth of this universe, that you are being itself. And you want to live a joyous life. Amazing. The rest of you doesn't trust it. It doesn't trust it yet. There's all of these, what I call protectors, that show up, and there are these voices, there are these beliefs that could go way back to childhood, to adolescence, to all of these lessons we've been taught, all these beliefs we've internalized, that actually, no, that's not okay. It's not okay to be happy. It's not okay to follow your dreams when other people can't. It's not okay to abandon, the life, the thing that you've been building for so long, and run off and do something else. Now, these internal challenges from these internal voices, you have to, as hard as it may be, you have to respond to them with love. You have to respond to them with an open heart. And you have to say, yes, I hear you. And you're right. Thank you for reminding me of these precautions, of the reality of my situation. I appreciate you. And do it genuinely, because there is something that they're pointing to. They're trying these beliefs, these internal beliefs, these safeguards and protectors. They're trying to keep you safe. And they want to make sure that you're making the right decision and that you're keeping yourself safe as you take this new path. So there is that internal challenge that you will probably face, and bringing your internal system into alignment with this new self, with this new vision for your life, is going to be one of the first things that you're going to have to do. And it's a process of, again, loving and accepting these fears, these doubts within you, and saying, yes, but I see a wider picture. I see a truer life, a better life, not only for me, but also for the people around me, and also for the world, where I get to live in my joy, give my gifts in service. That is the life that I'm meant to be living. So let's say you make that internal alignment. There's also the external alignment that has to happen, where you may be challenged. You probably will be challenged by other people, by your partner, by your friends, by your family, by circumstance. You want to change careers, do something completely different, move to Africa for 6 months. How are you going to do that? Logistically, your money, your connections, your job, or what about your friends? All of these practicalities. And you're going to be challenged by others, and you're going to be challenged by reality itself, by circumstance. And you, in order to manifest this vision and this dream, have to meet these challenges. And you have to meet them in the same way that we met the internal challenges, with joy and love. Say, yes, absolutely, you're right, thank you for reminding me. Right, I have to do something. I need to make money in some way, or at least find a way to move through the world cheaply, or maybe I need to build a new skill set. If I want to become a healer, okay, well, I need to probably take some courses. I need to get some practice. I need to figure out how to actually do this. If I want to start a company, I need to learn some business strategy, some marketing. How does the economics of that work? All these things that typically in spiritual conversations don't get brought up, they come up when we actually try to start manifesting the dreams that we have and the visions that we receive. This is where the rubber meets the road. And this is where a lot of people turn back because they're not expecting it and they don't know what to do. When they start running into these external as well as internal challenges, they think that this is the universe saying, stop, you're not on the right track, you have to go back. But in reality, this is the universe testing us and letting us know that yes, this vision that you have, it brings you joy, it brings you inspiration, but you have to then bring reality into alignment with it. And that takes some doing, that takes some effort, that takes some work. But if we can endure, and if we can meet these challenges with an open heart and joy, never losing sight of that joy, we can start to attract other people's support. Living from that place of joy, we can start attracting support from others. We can start living in flow. In the last video, I talked about that too, the power of joy, to allow us to live in a state of flow and efficiency and effectiveness. And this challenge will become the thing that defines you, will become the thing that allows you to transform. As the Buddhists say, there is no lotus without the mud. No mud, no lotus. The challenge is the mud. The challenge is the practicality of, can you actually bring yourself, transform yourself to fit this vision, to become the person that can bring this into the world? Can you confront and align your circumstances, financial, housing, connections-wise? Can you align that? And if you can, then the reward that you get is transformation. You suddenly get to, something changes inside of you, where instead of trying to be this new kind of person, maybe more confident, maybe more outgoing, maybe just more joyous and open to life. Instead of trying to be that kind of person, having moments of it and then falling back down, when we pass through the challenge, we transform, and that becomes our new baseline of being, where we no longer have to try. We no longer have to think about, oh, remember, be confident. We don't have to try. It becomes our new baseline of being. And that's the gift. That's the gift at the end of the hero's journey, right? After you pass through the challenge, you hear the call of adventure, you pass through the challenge, and the gift you receive is this new way of being. And so this is the 3-step process of manifestation. And this can happen on big scales. This can happen on small scales. I can, let's say I want to manifest a cake. Okay, amazing. I want to manifest a cake. I have this inspiration for a slice of cake. Well, I have now the challenge of, where do I get this cake? Either bake it, go down the street to the bakery, order it, call up a friend, call in a favor, do it together as a community. How are you going to confront that challenge with joy and love? And in the end, the transformation, boom, you've got the cake. So very simple, very silly little example, but this works on every level in the same way. There is an inspiration for a new way of being. There is the challenge, both internal and external. And then there is the transformation, the new self, the true self that you enter into, or at least truer self, more in line with your soul and your soul image. How do you, the next piece that I said that I'd speak about, and it's an important one, is how do we confront the challenge? How do we get through that period of confrontation, both internal and external? I've given a few tools and a few hints. Responding to them and meeting them with joy. A yes saying. Yes, absolutely. This is a challenge. Yes, these are circumstances I have to think about. And with an open heart, meeting the people and the voices inside with that joy and with that love. But there is another crucial thing that will help us to confront the challenges that we encounter, and that is responsibility. Taking responsibility is the number one way that we're going to bring our life in alignment and to break through the challenges that we face. Now, what do I mean? When we don't take responsibility for our circumstances or for the outcomes of our circumstances, what we're essentially doing is we're falling into a victim mindset where we implicitly are saying, this is not my doing. My circumstance right now, this is not my fault. And what happens next, I also don't want to take responsibility for. And we do this usually silently, quietly. We don't even usually realize that we're doing this. But we're doing it for a reason. We are giving up our responsibility because we don't want to take on the challenge of the moment. And we don't want to take on responsibility for the outcomes. We don't want to take on responsibility for our current situation and admitting that we have a lot of to take ownership of in the current moment of how we got to this place, as well as we don't want to take ownership for failing. We don't want to risk the possibility of failure. Now, there's a lot of reasons that, and a lot of different ways where we can abdicate responsibility and fall into a victim mindset. But all of these ways, what we're really doing is we're unconsciously giving up our power. When we talk about empowerment, this is the number one place where we give up our power. We give up our responsibility. We don't confront step 2 in the manifestation process. We don't confront the challenge. And what happens when we do take responsibility is that we go from being a victim of circumstance to becoming a creator of circumstance. We go from being a victim to being a creator, and that transition is about taking ownership of, taking responsibility for your circumstance. When you say to yourself, this life that I'm living right now, it may not be entirely my fault. I may not have chosen the family I was born into, the country I was born into, the time in history. I may not have chosen the things that have happened to me from others in my life. But I take ownership of the place where I am right now. Because I am just as much a co-creator of my life and the world as all these other people. And when we make that mindset shift and say, I take ownership of this, of my life, of my circumstance, we not only become just a creator of our life, we become a co-creator of the world. And that place of co-creation, we take what we're really doing, we're taking our seat and standing up in our role as one of the sustainers of reality. And we're sustaining it whether we know it or not. But when we actively and consciously take responsibility for our current situation and our future situation, we become active co-creators of the world. And that, my friends, that is a powerful place to be. So, in conclusion, the process of following your joy, of manifesting your vision and bringing your gifts out to the world in service of others, it has 3 steps. It is the inspiration, recognizing your gifts and how you can serve. The challenge, both internal, those internal beliefs and voices, those doubts and self-critiques, as well as the external, the people around you and their beliefs, the physical and financial and whatever other logistical circumstance. Confronting that challenge is where most people stop, and it is where the rubber meets the road. This is the hero's confrontation. And then, step 3, the transformation. This is the gift that you receive at the end. This is the new way of being that you gain when you follow through and confront the challenge. This is the new baseline. And to confront it, confronting our challenge, joy. Joy, an open heart, and a taking responsibility, a joyous responsibility. It's not a heavy burden that we take on. It is a joyous responsibility where we look around, we look at the situation, we say, okay, let's do this. Let's make this work. I'm going to figure it out because I can do it. And when we take that responsibility, we take ownership of our circumstance, both present and future, we go from being a victim of our circumstance to a creator of our circumstance. And really, we become a co-creator of the circumstances of the world. That is a powerful place to be. So, if you've enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe for more videos like this, and put a comment in the comments section about what have been your challenges with manifesting the life that you want to live. What have you confronted? What has gotten in your way? I'd love to know, and I'd love to respond.